all, this is Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how to solder on an ear wire without leaving a single solder scar. Now, this is a tiny bit of a more advanced technique, but I bet you're ready for it. So we have this gorgeous earring that's ready for its ear wire, and a lot of people get a little stressed, you know, when they're putting a post or an ear wire on because they're afraid of melting it, right? So I'm going to show you how you're going to do it so you will never fucking melt it. So the first thing I did was we kind of like took a Sharpie, we marked the center, because this is kind of a fat oval. So we marked it on the front, what looked like the center, and then carried that over to the back. And I basically had my wire sitting right on top of that mark. I just use a Sharpie. It's just enough, just like a temporary place for me to be able to see what the hell I'm doing. Because when you do shapes like this, it's not always so obvious when you flip it over where dead center is, or what we like to call the visual center, which is just what looks like it's in the middle. And you notice I took a third arm and the wire's touching really pretty well. Lovely. So the ear wire is 21 karat, so we're going to go down to 18 karat to solder it on. We could use 20 karat solder, but a lot of times when you're soldering on something like a finding that's relatively small, it's kind of the safer bet to go down to 18. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to cut this in some little tiny pieces. With an ear wire like this, you can either like sandwich it, you can put a square or two of solder directly underneath, but it can be a little more wiggly. So usually what I do is put a ball or two and flow it instead. But either way, you know, whatever floats your boat. And what we're going to do in the future is we're going to mill your solder so it's a little thinner. It's easier to get a small piece that way. But you see, for me, I don't want to leave any scars, you know, because that's like my emotional problem, that I don't want to clean up anything. So I think what I'm going to do, pardon me for reaching, is I'm going to put a little ball of solder right at the end, right there, and kind of heat from over here and just draw that along. If your solder balls are small enough, they don't leave a significant scar anyway. But like I said, that's like the mission of my life, to try to reduce cleanup to 0. Because I just feel like none of us make jewelry because we like to file and sand. Well, actually, if anybody out there does it because they like to file and sand, make sure you leave a comment, because I have not, as of yet, met that person. You know what I mean? It's the cleaning fanatics who are like, I love to sand, I love to file. And I'm going to switch this down to a 0 when I actually solder it on. But I'm just going to ball up my solder. See that? Aren't they cute? And just like when you're soldering, when you ball up your solder hot and fast, if you malinger, it'll get like sort of beef jerky looking, and you don't want that. Because it's the same thing really when you're putting a post on. The whole key is you heat the earring, not the post or not the wire. And that's really the whole key. People put the flame on the wire and then it gets too hot and it melts. And nobody likes that. Just double checking, 0, beautiful. And then, pardon me for reaching, a little paste flux. So usually I put a little paste flux on there, dry it off a little, in the hopes that my flux won't make my solder hop around too much. But it often does, which is why I always have my tweezers in my hand. Okay, I'm going to dry that a little bit so that it flows underneath. And you can use the liquid flux if you want. The paste flux is just much more concentrated. Okay, see, like that, lovely. Put the solder on the end. Now, when I'm flowing this, it's quite possible that I'm going to just press on the wire a tiny bit, because even though it's laying there, sometimes like in the flux or whatever, things like wiggle around a little bit, and you really want to make good contact. You can't push like hard enough to like dislodge everything. Put you back over there. So I'm going to put him right on the end. You see what I mean? Like so. Now, like I said, this is me being a little OCD, because really a lot of times we just put a couple little balls on the side, but ideally I want 0 anything, so I'm going to put it at the end and draw it along. And then if I need to add another piece, I'll add it at the same spot. People are always saying, well, where should I put the next piece? In the same fucking spot, because we don't want to clean up more than one spot. I don't want to clean up more than one spot. I try to bring everybody over to my religion of no cleanup.
Thank you for that.
Because a lot of times when I was taught, it was sort of like, we'll just clean it up later. And then like 3 hours later, you're filing and you're like, I'm going to blow my brains out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, jewelry making is time consuming. There's no getting rid of that, but. So my heat is on the earring and not on the wire. Okay, I've got my tweezers right there. Look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful. I can't stand it. And then I just look at it and see if it flowed all the way up. I should do this for a living. I'm going to tilt it up and then we'll just do a little close-up of that. I'm going to go get my macro lens, okay? But take a look at that. That's why we do it this way. Completely pristine.
It's
do you know what I mean?
amazing.
Like,
It's amazing.
completely pristine. Okay, let me go get my macro lens. We'll do a little close-up. Look at that fucking pristine seam with 0 cleanup required. I'm too happy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go pickle it. We'll take a better look at it, but that is everything that I'm looking for out of my soldering life.